Today we're exploring a theme that hits at the very heart of the gospel: radical inclusion. It's not just a slogan, it's a spiritual mandate.
Right, and Acts 10 gives us one of the clearest pictures of that. Peter and Cornelius, two men from completely different worlds, are brought together by God's vision.
Exactly. Peter, this devout Jew, suddenly finds himself entering the house of a Gentile. That was unthinkable in his context.
And yet God's message was crystal clear: do not call anything impure that God has made clean. That changes everything.
Cornelius is such an unexpected figure, a Roman centurion, but generous, reverent, full of faith. It's almost like he breaks all the rules.
And that's the point. God isn't bound by human categories. Cornelius reminds us that faith isn't limited by ethnicity, class, or culture.
I think modern leaders need to wrestle with that. Are we setting boundaries God never intended?
Or maintaining systems that God wants to break down? It's a challenge, especially when the systems benefit us.
Inclusion isn't just a strategy, it's a reflection of divine justice. Acts 10 shows us that God values every person equally.
And inclusion begins with spiritual intelligence. Peter had to hear God clearly in prayer before stepping out.
That part struck me too. Without discernment, we stay stuck in comfort zones, thinking we're right just because it's familiar.
Which is dangerous, especially for leaders. Without empathy and spiritual insight, we risk reinforcing the very walls God wants to tear down.
Like Peter walking into Cornelius's house. That was more than a visit. It was a symbol of transformation.
And humility. He didn't walk in as a superior, but as a witness to God's grace moving in unfamiliar places.
What would it look like for today's leaders to enter the house of those we usually avoid?
That's the question. Real inclusion means embracing discomfort. It costs something.
It does. But so does clinging to complacency. Acts 10 calls us to choose bold vision or safe exclusion.
And equity isn't complete without structure. Cornelius didn't just have faith, his whole household reflected it in action.
That's where logical intelligence matters. Policies, systems, culture shifts. Faith has to become visible.
So true, and emotional intelligence plays its role too. Without empathy, we build bridges to nowhere.
And sometimes the hardest bridge to cross is the one inside our own hearts, our own biases and fears.
That's why the practice of reflection is essential. What traditions are keeping us from fully embracing others?
What if inclusion isn't a burden, but the actual heartbeat of the gospel?
That changes everything. Because then inclusion isn't optional, it's sacred.
Acts 10 doesn't just challenge ancient prejudice. It confronts us, right here, right now.
Are we willing to lead like Peter? To step into unfamiliar rooms and trust God is already there?
The gospel demands it, because God already invited them too.
And He's still inviting. The only question is, will we make room?
Or will we stay safe, surrounded by what's comfortable?
That's the leadership choice: comfort or courage, division or divine inclusion.
And with God's Spirit, we're never alone in choosing courage.
That's the hope and the calling.